How many of us sit down to eat each day believing we are making the right choice? How many meals begin with peace of mind, but end with a list of additives our bodies were never meant to digest? Americans are consuming ingredients that have already been banned in many developed countries, preservatives linked to cancer, additives that affect the nervous system, processed meats classified in the same cancer risk category as cigarettes, and all of it sold openly legally under the label of convenience food. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has repeatedly sounded the alarm America's industrial food system is no longer about nourishing people. It has become a machine quietly cutting down the nation's life expectancy while corporations pocket billions each year. If a loaf of bread can contain chemicals once used in yoga mats, if ketchup can push your heart to dangerous limits, what else might be hiding in the meals we take for granted? The truth is not easy to hear, but you need to know it before you open the fridge for your next meal. Today we're going to show you 5 foods Americans need to stop eating right now and 2 clean alternatives to start fresh. Number 1. Ketchup. Americans once believed ketchup was harmless. A simple condiment, a familiar presence at the table. A spoonful of thick red sauce, rich with tomato flavor, bringing back memories of family dinners, rushed lunches, or that very first burger. But what was once a symbol of the American meal has now landed on the list of foods Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says must go if we want the nation to be healthy again. The problem is not the taste. It is the deception. Millions of consumers pour ketchup over everything while thinking it is just tomato sauce. But that thick red paste is not tomato juice. It is a mixture of refined sugar, salt, industrial vinegar thickeners, and preservatives. And in many cases, artificial coloring and flavorings are added to fake a sense of naturalness. Heinz, the leading ketchup brand in America, once promoted a simple recipe. But a glance at the label today shows high fructose corn syrup right at the top. This liquid sugar extracted from genetically modified corn is cheaper than cane sugar, but heavily disrupts insulin, the liver, and the body's metabolism. The irony is that the same ingredient is in ketchup soda and nearly every ultra-processed food on the market. One serving is just a single spoonful, but few people stop there. Ketchup goes on fries, hot dogs, sandwiches, even salads. Each time middle-aged consumers, especially those with diabetes or high blood pressure, are unknowingly loading up on excess sugar and sodium. This is especially dangerous for anyone on a low-carb diet or trying to cut sugar because they do not expect a familiar condiment to be spiking their blood sugar. A study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that consuming added sugar above the recommended limit can raise the risk of death from heart disease by 38%. Yet ketchup remains one of the most overlooked sources of added sugar because it does not carry the same sweet image as cakes or soda. What makes consumers feel betrayed is not the sugar itself. It is the lack of clarity. Phrases like natural flavors, spices, and corn syrup make people let their guard down. They do not see warnings. They see a familiar logo and a cheerful family image on the bottle. You do not have to toss every bottle of ketchup right now, but you should start questioning how often you use it. Familiar does not mean safe. Old does not mean harmless, especially now when America's food industry is under fire for filling meals with chemicals down to the smallest portion. A breakfast sandwich, a plate of fries at lunch, a simple dinner. If all 3 include industrial ketchup, the question is no longer does it taste good, but how much longer can your body keep taking it? Number 2, frozen pizza. If you want a quick dinner, boil some vegetables or fry an egg. But if you are still relying on frozen pizza from your freezer, it is time to stop right now. Totino's Red Baron DiGiorno. Names instantly familiar to anyone who has ever walked past the frozen food aisle at Walmart or Costco. They are marketed as convenient, affordable, and available in every flavor from cheese to pepperoni. But behind the glossy packaging is a list of ingredients that, once read carefully, makes it clear why more doctors and health experts are urging Americans to keep this product out of their kitchens. Frozen pizza is the textbook definition of ultra-processed food, meaning it no longer retains any truly natural elements. Every part has been replaced with an industrial substitute crust made from bleached flour and hydrogenated oils, tomato sauce, laced with preservatives, cheese from reprocessed milk meat toppings, bulked out with synthetic protein fillers, food coloring, and artificial flavor enhancers. The biggest danger is not in any single ingredient, but in their accumulation. What looks like a simple slice of pizza is actually a cocktail of nearly 25 components, most of which you would never find in a home kitchen. Chemicals like sodium nitrate monoglycerides, BHA, and TBHQ are not names most people understand, but your body does not need to understand them to feel their impact. For middle-aged consumers, frozen pizza presents two serious threats. First is the sky-high sodium content. A single thin slice can pack over 700 milligrams of salt, more than triple the recommended amount per meal, for anyone with high blood pressure or heart disease risk. Second is the heavy load of saturated fats and altered vegetable oils closely linked to inflammation, visceral fat, and declining metabolic function. A 2024 report from the Harvard School of Public Health found that people who ate frozen pizza more than 3 times a week had a 42% higher risk of developing metabolic syndrome. That is not a statistic to shrug off, especially when frozen pizza is still marketed as a reasonable meal for busy workers and families with kids. It is worth noting that homemade pizza or pies from traditional pizzerias do not fall into this category. The issue is not pizza itself, but the way industrial processing has turned it into a packaged, long shelf life product. Anything that can sit in a freezer for 6 months without molding or breaking down is not something the human body is meant to consume regularly. Maybe you have thought just one slice, it is faster. But inside that slice is a trade-off you cannot see. No immediate warning signs. No dramatic symptoms. Just quiet, gradual changes until your doctor tells you your cholesterol, blood sugar, or blood pressure is out of control. Pizza once stood for convenience. Now it has become a symbol of how we have lost control of our meals. And once you see that clearly, there is no reason to keep it in your freezer for even one more day. Number 3, deli meat. If you are someone who keeps deli meat in the fridge for a quick sandwich, take a moment to look at the ingredients. Not to check freshness, but to understand why top health experts and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. himself are calling deli meat one of the most dangerous foods for public health in America. Deli meat, the pre-sliced, packaged, or counter-sliced cold cuts you find in supermarkets, is often marketed as lean protein, ready to eat, or smoked for flavor. Those phrases convince many people, especially busy middle-aged adults, or those with health conditions, that they are making a healthier choice compared to fatty meats or fried foods. But behind those thin pink slices lies an entire industrial process the human body was never built to handle long-term. The common ingredients in deli meat go far beyond meat itself. Sodium nitrate, nitrite, pink coloring agents, antioxidants, binders, and thickeners. Each slice is not just protein. It is a carefully engineered chemical package designed to hold shape, keep its color, and last weeks in the fridge. The World Health Organization has classified processed meats, including deli meat, as Group 1 carcinogens. This is the same category as smoking with clear evidence in humans. Not a theory, not a debate. A major 2015 study by the International Agency for Research on Cancer showed that eating just 50 grams of processed meat a day raises the risk of colorectal cancer by 18%. What makes this worse is that American consumers today, especially the middle-aged generation that grew up on deli sandwiches, often have no idea how much they are actually eating each week. A slice in a sandwich, a little with eggs, a quick roll-up snack at night, small amounts on repeat until the risk builds past safe limits. Many deli meat brands also use misleading terms like no added nitrates or uncured. In reality, they are still using celery extract or nitrite salts under another name to preserve color and freshness. Your body does not care where the nitrate came from. It only reacts to the damage when those compounds turn into nitrosamines, substances highly toxic to the liver and intestines. You might wonder, is fresh meat safer? The answer is yes if you cook it yourself and control the ingredients. Deli meat is faster, easier, and requires no cooking. But that convenience comes at the cost of a losing battle for your immune system, your gut, and your liver, especially after age 50 when inflammation control is already weakening. No one is saying you need to throw it all out right this second. But if you open your fridge and see a pack of pre-sliced deli meat, it is time to ask yourself, are you eating meat? Or are you eating a simulation of meat? Number 4, soda, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, names tied to childhood fast food meals and family gatherings. But these same brands built one of the biggest image-washing campaigns in American food history, turning an industrial product into an emotional symbol. They were never really selling drinks. They were selling refreshment youth freedom. They did not have to talk about ingredients because most consumers never read the label. All people wanted was something sweet, cold, and fizzy, enough to make it a habit that could last decades. But what is inside each can of soda? A mix of water, refined sugar, caffeine, caramel coloring, artificial flavors, and phosphoric acid, the same chemical used in industry to clean pipes. Most sodas pack over 35 grams of sugar in a standard 12-ounce, can already more than the daily recommended limit for adults, and that is just the surface. The real danger is the illusion. Zero sugar or diet versions are marketed as solutions for diabetics, dieters, and older adults. But artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose are far from harmless. A 2023 study by the National Institutes of Health found that long-term consumption of artificial sweeteners is linked to gut microbiome disruption and higher risk of insulin resistance. Many middle-aged consumers switch to Diet Coke believing they are making a better choice. Yet their blood work does not improve. Blood pressure stays high. Fatigue lingers. That is not a coincidence. On top of that phosphoric acid, the ingredient that gives soda its tang and helps keep the fizz, quietly strips calcium from bones, raising the risk of osteoporosis and kidney problems. Bone density is already declining with age, and adding this acid is like greasing the slide downward. The most striking fact is that this is a product nearly every American generation has consumed, and it is that very familiarity that keeps people from asking questions. It is the trade-off of taste for health, the choice of short-term comfort over long-term control, a can at lunch, a glass over ice after dinner, a small habit repeated enough to create irreversible damage. The soda industry even poured money into funding so-called independent research to claim that obesity was caused by lack of exercise, not sugary drinks. That was not just public manipulation. It was a betrayal of trust. You do not need to cut soda completely today. But if you are still depending on it to feel energized, relaxed, or simply out of habit with fries, at least know that comfort is being bought at the cost of your real health, your real bones, and your real organs. Number 5. Breakfast cereal. Americans have been misled about breakfast for nearly half a century. For decades, boxed cereal was seen as the healthy, convenient choice. Kid-friendly, suitable for all ages. Ads from the 1980s cemented the image of a bowl of cereal with milk and the phrase "heart healthy" as a claim that needed no proof. And so millions of older Americans grew up believing that eating cereal every morning was part of a balanced diet. But as experts began breaking down the ingredients, the truth emerged. Most popular cereals, from Cheerios and Corn Flakes to Special K and Raisin Bran, are no longer really grains at all. They are products of extrusion, frying, sugar coating, synthetic vitamin spraying, and flashy packaging. The main ingredients are usually refined wheat or genetically modified corn mixed with sugar or corn syrup, and additives like maltodextrin, artificial vanilla flavor, and anti-clumping agents. Even boxes labeled low sugar or whole grain cannot escape the reality that their original structure and natural nutrition are gone. The real problem is not just the ingredients, but the timing. Eating cereal in the morning, right after the body has gone hours without food and is most sensitive to insulin, causes blood sugar to spike and then crash. That is why so many people feel hungry again 2 hours later and drained before lunch, even after a complete breakfast. A 2023 study from Tufts University found that adults over 50 who ate boxed cereal daily had higher markers of insulin resistance compared to those who ate eggs and vegetables for breakfast. This shows that the light and easy image of cereal does not reflect its real impact inside the body. Many middle-aged Americans once raised their kids on colorful cereal boxes, and even in retirement, they keep eating it convinced it is convenient and heart-friendly. Few realize that type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, and rising blood pressure do not just come from fast food or fatty meats. They also come from these seemingly reasonable choices that no one ever warned about. The cereal industry once spent billions to secure FDA approval to label products as healthy, but a closer look shows those added vitamins are synthetic, nothing like the vitamins found in fresh foods. So the question is not, is cereal good for you? but rather are we eating food or a chemically engineered simulation of food? When Robert F. Kennedy Jr. speaks out about the foods poisoning America, he does not point to the obvious villains. He targets the products people trust most, and boxed cereal is one of them. Not because its harm is obvious, but because its supposed harmlessness is what makes it so dangerous. Amid a sea of risky industrial foods, there are still options you can truly trust. Choices that not only help you live longer, but also make your body feel like it is returning to its natural rhythm. And the surprising part is, they are not new. These foods once had a place on the American table before being crowded out by artificial convenience. Number 1. Organic eggs. Among shelves packed with artificial products, one thing has kept its real value, a true egg. Not the cheap kind with pale shells and watery yolks. We are talking about organic eggs, from hens that are pasture-raised antibiotic-free and not fed genetically modified grains. Brands like Vital Farms and Handsome Brook are trusted by nutritionists and health organizations for a reason. The most striking difference shows up in the yolk, rich, deep orange, thick and springy. That color and texture come from a natural carotene-rich diet, not from growth drugs or industrial feed. Nutritional analysis shows that pasture-raised organic eggs contain 2 to 3 times more omega-3s plus higher levels of vitamins A and E and stronger antioxidants than conventional eggs. More importantly, the ratio of good fats to total fat is higher, a crucial benefit for anyone managing weight-heart disease or diabetes. For years, people worried eggs might raise cholesterol. But numerous studies now confirm that cholesterol in eggs does not harm heart health when eaten in moderation. The real danger is not the egg itself, but what often comes with it: processed bacon, margarine, and oils that are fried over and over again. An organic egg delivers clean protein and lasting satiety, a stark contrast to sugary cereals or thin sandwiches. For many middle-aged adults, this simple choice restores a sense of control: real food, real fullness, no deception. If you have ever felt lost in the grocery aisle, unsure what makes for a proper breakfast, start again with the egg. Just do not pick the cheapest carton, because your body is not cheap. Choose eggs from farms where you know the hens were raised with care. Number 2. Whole grain bread. Among the hundreds of loaves wrapped in plastic, bleached white, soft as cotton, and designed to sit on shelves for weeks, Dave's Killer Bread stands apart. It is not flashy. It does not advertise with sugar buzzwords. Yet health-conscious shoppers hunt for it loaf by loaf. Unlike standard white bread, made from refined flour that has been stripped of the bran and germ, whole grain bread keeps the entire grain intact. That means you get fiber B vitamins, magnesium, and iron instead of just a block of empty starch that spikes your blood sugar and then drops it hard. Dave's Killer Bread is one of the few breads in America that does not hide behind its label. The ingredient list is clear, simple, and free from artificial preservatives. Inside one loaf, you will find flax seeds, chia, and rye, rich plant-based sources of protein and healthy fats that middle-aged adults especially need to maintain muscle and immunity. If you've ever tried cutting out bread completely while dieting only to feel drained and low on energy, chances are you are eliminating the wrong bread. Not all bread is bad, only the kind made for looks and long shelf life, but with nothing nourishing inside, truly deserves to be cut out. True, whole grain bread is not something you rush through. It is dense, hearty, and meant to be chewed. Each bite digests slower, steadier. It is the complete opposite of a fluffy slice of white bread that dissolves as you swallow, leaving behind blood sugar, crashes belly fat, and false fullness. Dave's Killer Bread is more than bread. It is a symbol of restoration, bringing meals back to their real purpose: to nourish, not to numb your taste buds. And for anyone trying to regain control of their health, starting with a slice might not be a bad idea at all. The truth is, we do not need to change the whole world to live healthier. We only need to know what we're eating and start cutting things out one by one. From ketchup loaded with corn syrup to factory-made pizza slices to the deceptive sweetness of a soda can. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not just sounding the alarm. He is reminding us that the right to eat clean food is a basic right for every American. And sometimes it all begins with a single organic egg, a slice of whole grain bread, one conscious choice to say, I am no longer letting myself be poisoned. What changes have you started making in your own kitchen?
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today analyzes made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.